From 80s and record-breaking warmth to storms and then a major cool down, I've got a pattern change you need to know about. Hi, everybody. I'm Chief Meteorologist Chris Justice. It all starts in the upper parts of the atmosphere with what's called a sudden stratospheric warming event, and that's going to send the polar vortex into a tailspin. What that's going to do is send a piece of it down toward the south as we get toward late month, and that is going to send in some Arctic air and possibly even some storms that we're going to have to watch very closely. Folks, if you're new to this channel, please like this video. Let me know where in the comment section you're watching from right now. Where in the world are you? Subscribe and turn on those notifications, and I promise to keep you up to date to all things severe weather. So let's dive right into this pattern. As you're looking at the 500 millibar chart, let's pull out just a little bit and show you some perspective here. So you're looking at the 500 millibar chart from the European model. I want to show you the blues would indicate a dip in the jet stream, and the reds would indicate a ridge or a blocking type pattern. So let's look at what goes on here as we go deeper into the month, because as we move forward here, there's going to be a couple of different dips and a couple of different fronts. Now, we've been watching one for late this week that we were looking for possibly some severe weather. Well, that dip is very minimal. The southern jet just not cranking out much. Northern jet still reserved back here toward the Canadian-U.S. border. So as we move into Friday into Saturday, it causes a little bit of mischief up toward the northeast, but other than that, this thing's not causing much rain or storm activity. Now, we turn our attention to Thanksgiving week. We start the week off very warm. Sunday into Monday, we're in the 70s, even 80s possibly yet again. That record-breaking warmth shifting up toward the upper Midwest, up toward New England, the Northeast. We're going to see some warmer weather take shape, and that could be pronounced going into Thanksgiving Day itself. That said, going into Black Friday, look at this big dip in the jet stream here. Now, what happens before this is what we call a sudden stratospheric warming event. Now, higher up than this level, this is 500 millibars. You go up even higher than that. We're talking, 30,000 feet in the sky. What happens there is a warming event which sends the polar vortex, which is a normal phenomenon. It's basically that axis, that wheel basically, that keeps the polar vortex in the polar areas. It keeps things cold up there. Now, when the stratosphere warms, it basically causes the polar vortex to change, to get disrupted. It kind of messes with it a little bit. And when that messes with it, a piece of the polar vortex likes to break off, and that's when we get our big cool downs. Notice this right here, leaving central Canada, streaming in right here on the 29th, the 30th, into the 30th. Into December 1st here. That is a very pronounced drop in the jet stream here, and that could lead to some very cold air. It'd be a quick, sudden blast of Arctic air. Could lead to some big snow in some areas like we had earlier this month. It'll lead to some very cold weather as well. Now, all beginning from way up in the atmosphere. Now, it looks like that's not the only piece. Look, another little piece tries to curl down here toward the end of that period. Let's look at the GFS model just for some comparison here. This is the midday run of the GFS. Shows a piece of that breaking off right in there. Other than that, we're pretty subdued until we get to this post-Thanksgiving Day time frame when it tries to break a little piece off right in there. And here it comes roaring in right there. Now, when you get a situation like this, not only does it bring in warm, cold air down, but this separates warm air surging up from the south. Now, you see those directional lines right here. This is the Gulf streaming up toward the north. Then we'd be really warm, clashing with some colder air, and that can lead to severe weather. And that's what we have to watch out for moving forward is where does that axis set up? Well, let's look at the Europeans' model depiction of the precipitation, and we'll dive in deeper as to where some storms could form. But here we are. Monday into Tuesday of this week, we got some rain trying to move east and south, but we just can't buy a drop of rain in the south. This will be a 10-plus day stretch of dry weather going on 2 weeks for some, and that is causing wildfires. Where I live, there's wildfires breaking out left and right, a burn ban in some communities, and it's just best to really avoid any kind of burning. I know you want to take care of those leaves, but they can get out of hand very quickly. That is some kindling for those fires, and that's all it takes to get some forest fires and some wildfires going, folks. There's already several in Western North Carolina. They've been putting them out left and right. Firefighters are doing their thing. So hats off to you folks. Thank you for what you do. Let's not make it worse for them, okay? Here we are into this upcoming Friday, Saturday, a weak front. I mean, this is the one we were looking out for last week. Could be stormy. No, not going to be stormy. It's just a little bit of rain, scattered rain at that, Saturday and the Sunday, and then we clear things back out. And look at this. We don't cool down. The jet stream's still subdued up toward the north. Meanwhile, we've got our next storm system taking shape. Notice this dip down here. This is on the move now. Looks like the Northeast, upper state New York could get some snow, New Hampshire, Vermont. Other than that, we're just looking at this next system kind of coming in. Thanksgiving Day, to be honest with you, Wednesday night, Thursday, looks like some scattered rain, warm conditions. Some of the models indicated maybe a wedge of cold air taking shape. Either way, it looks like it's a warmer and a wetter Thanksgiving for us. But it'll be the first rain we've had in a while, and even so, it looks like scattered rain, not widespread rain. Now, here we are into the Friday, Saturday time frame after Thanksgiving, and that cold air is trying to dive in for many. Now, doesn't this look familiar? This is a very similar setup to what we had earlier in the month, where a little bit of snow started to break out in Indiana, Ohio. Here we are on Saturday night going into Sunday after Thanksgiving. This would be the 29th into the 30th. You got a low pressure system off the East Coast. This could mean some big-time snow for Mid-Atlantic toward the north. Could it be? Could it be our first good snow? New York City up to possibly even down south to D.C. Boston could get some snow out of this. This would go up through Maine, Vermont. Could be a good one here. And then you add in the lake effect snow that follows after that. Could get some good snows in Indiana, Ohio, parts of New York, into Michigan, Pennsylvania, Delaware, Connecticut. I mean, we could be in some pretty decent snow squalls here. This would be on the 29th, 30th, and then it just stays pretty cold there. And we get some other action trying to form with another low pressure. Look at that ice trying to show up here in southern Illinois, southern Indiana. Could there be some ice in Kentucky? Well, this model says yes. All right. Got to watch out for that. All things are on the table when that Arctic air dives in. What does the GFS say? Kind of scrub through it here. Similar type pattern. Look at that. Some rain into Friday, Saturday. We're subdued early next week and just warm. That could lead to some severe weather when this front does finally make its way toward the east. Streaming in like that. I mean, this could be a stormy look here Friday into Saturday. But once that passes through, cold air is there, and here comes some snow from the Appalachian Mountains in North Carolina up through West Virginia, Indiana, Ohio getting in on some snow. This would be on December 1st and 2nd on this model, and it streams up toward the north. Either way, most models do have a coastal low, nor'easter type thing showing up here for the northeast up through New England. I mean, you could be dealing with some pretty good snow here. Let's look at the totals, compare them, what we're seeing here, and then we'll look at severe weather. Actually, let's look at severe weather. I did want to look at that before I switch maps over because it's just easier to do that. So let's do it. Severe weather, where are you hiding at? My parameters. Let me go back one model here. And we'll zoom in here to the eastern United States of America. And here we are with severe weather parameters. Unstable Cape. So we got some Cape showing up here early this week. Could have some thunderstorms. Nothing too crazy. But then we get into Saturday, Sunday's time frame. This front does mean business for Louisiana. Could be looking at some storms in Arkansas, Mississippi, Tennessee. This streams in Friday night into Saturday here for Georgia. Minimal Cape values there. But then we reload a little bit going into Thanksgiving week. Could there be storms here, or is it more subdued? This model shows a little more subdued towards central parts of Louisiana. And going into the panhandle of Florida. Be the only areas that would kind of have storm fuel on this European map. GFS, let's look at surface Cape right in here. Here we are going into this week. And here we are Thanksgiving week. Woof. East Texas. GFS has a lot of Cape here on a Wednesday before Thanksgiving. Storms, not snow. Here we are, 2,000, 3,000 Cape. That could be some severe weather here across Louisiana, Arkansas, Mississippi. That would move off toward the east. That's Thanksgiving Day. And then day after Thanksgiving, that Friday, looks like it's centered over Louisiana into Mississippi. Alabama, Georgia, some fuel, but not enough to really cause much widespread problems. Florida, you're at least in some Cape values where you could get some action. But right now, that doesn't look to be quite pronounced. How about snowfall on the models? Let's look first at the next 10 days snowfall. This is important to getting our snowpack established here across Canada, and we're going to have to put quite a bit of snow over the next 10 days. That stretches into Indiana, Ohio, Kentucky, West Virginia. even a little bit across the high country of North Carolina, but it's really off toward the east that we get more totals there. GFS through the same time frame, not as much snow in the east, but some. I'll show you a closer little bit in just a moment. There's the 12Z version. As far as precipitation totals in rain, European gets us out that far. You can see a clear maximum over Kentucky. And the secondary area comes in over Thanksgiving. And boy, guys, we just can't get rain in South Carolina or Georgia. That means the wildfire concerns are going to begin to grow. We're already got them right now as dry as we are, and it looks like that pattern's going to continue. In a typical La Nina fashion, dry and warm looks to win out across the southeast. Meanwhile, a lot of rain and storm activity in Oklahoma, Texas, into the upper Midwest here. We could have some activity, but things are pretty subdued on those models. Let's look at this precipitation on the fronts map here. Get some thunderstorms possible across some areas on Tuesday as this front moves off toward the east. Then we get into Wednesday, Thursday's time frame. Here we are with some fronts sprawling out right here. Friday, you got some strong storms trying to form here back toward the west. And then Saturday, it's scattered, but off toward the east would be our thunderstorm chances due to some higher moisture content, enough to give some storm activity. And then Saturday into Sunday, that's pushing off toward the east. And then next week, we're reloading the atmosphere back toward the west. Pacific Northwest, cold enough to get some snow there. So that's the way kind of things are shaping up right now across the eastern half of the United States. As far as rain is concerned, the models just aren't buying a whole lot of it. Some of it scattered through Thursday into Friday, but it's Friday night into Saturday, we're going to see some activity try to come on in like that. But notice it just does not materialize for a lot of areas. That leaves a lot of areas really dry. How about snow? European model, let's map the whole thing out here. Showed you some of those totals back toward the north, moving into the time frame here. That would be our snow totals here. Let's go upstate or northern parts of North Carolina up through West Virginia. Get a little bit here. At least snow's flying around in Ohio, Indiana. Michigan's getting some pretty good snowpack here. And then you get through east of the lakes. We're getting some activity in upstate New York. And you get back here through Pennsylvania getting some activity as well. But that's really all that's shaping up there. For you folks watching in Florida, how about storm activity for you? I just don't see you even getting rain, much less storm activity, until we get some of these fronts to stall out near you. But even then, this European model just says no rain for you. Who needs rain in Florida? I know some of you do, some of you don't. Here we are going into Saturday, Sunday's time frame. This will be the 29th, 30th. You're finally getting some rain here after weeks and weeks of dry weather for so many, and it's quite mild as well. So that could lead to some storms. So we look at the lightning instantaneous rate. Could have some thunderstorms forming here by the 28th, 29th for the Panhandle. That'd be Panama City eastbound through I-4. This would be the 28th, 29th time frame for some storm activity. That'd be some lightning showing up there. Precipitation total, Europeans got nothing for you in the next 5 days through Sunday. If we map that out into Thanksgiving week, things change a little bit for us. We're looking at possibly a ½ an inch, but this model is really sparse for you. GFS is a little bit wetter and more widespread, but not by much. In fact, the pattern here looks to feature above normal temperatures through Thanksgiving. So it looks like we're locked in with this above normal temperature, below normal precipitation. So that's kind of the way things are shaping up right now. Folks, what do you hope to see where you're watching from? I'm working on my winter forecast, which I will drop right here on Wednesday for you. Been working hard on it. Folks, I'm so excited to show it to you. So make sure you tune in for that. Follow this page for more updates on what will come this winter. And, of course, folks, if anything severe happens, this is the place for that. I promise to keep you up to date around the clock on anything that comes our way, whether it be severe weather storm-wise, hurricanes, or, in this case, getting into wintry storms. So, folks, hope you have a great rest of your day. Please let me know in the comment section where you're watching from and any kind of questions you may have. I like to end each video with those questions, and I'll do that starting tomorrow for this video right here. Like this video, subscribe, and turn on those notifications. Hope you guys have a blessed day, and we'll talk soon.